Hi guys, it's markabusi here, and we are going to be today reacting to BTS documentary, which is I'm pretty sure called The Rise of BTS. It's like a 15-minute documentary because I wanted to go in, I've talked about this at length on the channel before, but I wanted to go in and understand the group, which means I also need to look at other things like K-pop as an entity. Because everybody tells me that K-pop's not a genre of music, which I expected it was. I just thought it was an umbrella term for Korean pop music, but it's not. It's something altogether different. It's a bit like a music making factory, kinda akin to what Simon Cowell's kinda done, but on a much larger scale. It seems like BTS are something of an anomaly within that, and I thought that was quite an interesting angle to come and look at it. If I see them as individuals and like people, and then get to know the band a bit more in their story and why they mean as much as they mean to other people, that might help me to bridge the gap between the band and the music through their lyrics, I think. So that's what we're doing. So we're going to go in today, we're going to watch this documentary. It's going to teach me a wee bit more about them. I had already watched the Bangtan 7 documentary, which I have tried to retain a lot of information. Some of it's a bit ropey at this point. Without much further ado, let's go in, check out the documentary, I'll give my thoughts on it.
How many of you have heard of BTS?
Who is BTS and why are they so popular? BTS is a 7-member group from South Korea. While the words boy band are often associated with the image of screaming teen girls, that is far from reality. First, there's nothing wrong with being a young person showing love for something you enjoy. But what if I told you about 24% are in their 20s, 28% are in their 30s, and 21% are in their 40s? Take a closer look at this age and gender demographic for BTS's 2020 Map of the Soul ticket sales.
That actually does track with a lot of what I've been seeing in the demographics of my videos. Like, if you look at the comment section and who's commenting, a lot of it is people who are, there's a couple of folk in there who were like in their 60s and have came up listening to rock music, and they were saying that they had just grown bored of music until they discovered BTS, and their lyrics just kind of touched them in a way that made them then love the band and stuff. I like busting these preconceptions where you go in, because my initial thought is, yeah, it's a band for 12-year-old girls, and you quickly get disillusioned with that stuff. Realise that actually there's a lot more nuance to the conversation, which is kinda why I'm here. It's the rabbit hole that is making this curious and therefore interesting. Because if they were just a generic, we're a boy band who plays to 12-year-old girls and we just happen to be massive, there's nothing in there to kind of deep dive into, really. That's not an interesting angle for me personally.
Females ages 25 and up made 46% of web traffic, and 31% were males. BTS's fans, named ARMY, will often tell you BTS is not your typical boy band. And why? To get a better understanding, let us go back to the beginning. BTS was created by Big Hit Entertainment, whose mission statement is music and artists for healing. The company, and namely their CEO, Bang Si-hyuk, wanted BTS to be sincere and genuine figures that people could easily relate to and grow with. Not immaculate idols groomed amid studio culture, but real boys who shared their authentic personalities and talents with the world. Which is why BTS stands for 방탄소년단, Korean for Bulletproof Boy Scouts.
Is that what that means? I was always under the assumption that it meant behind the scenes, because that's what people were telling me it meant. Okay, Bulletproof Boy Scouts, that's... Hey, now... Tell me a more emo band name than Bulletproof Boy Scouts. Come on. Just saying. that's got emo written all the fuck out of it.
Pangtan meaning to be resistant to bullets, so it means to block out stereotypes, criticisms, and expectations that are aimed at adolescents like bullets, to preserve the value and ideals of today's adolescent. In 2017, BTS rebranded their name and logo representing their growth and maturity, extending the meaning to beyond the scene. The new door-inspired logo symbolizes youth who don't settle for their current reality and instead open the door and go forward to achieve growth. BTS debuted on June 12, 2013 with 7 members: RM, Jin, Suga, J-Hope, Jimin, V, and Jungkook. All 7 members came from different parts.
Let me try and remember. Right. RM, Suga, V, Jungkook, Jimin. Struggling. Fuck. Who've I left out? I feel like there's an LJ in there. Right, I've got 5 of the 7. We're doing alright so far.
Of Korea. So at first, living together in a small apartment was a challenge. Their CEO, Bang Si-hyo, created a method for the boys whenever they got into an argument.
일단 싸워도 된다. 싸움을 두려워하기 때문에 우리 갈등이 커지는 거다라고 가리키고요. 그 다음에 마지막으로는 단 해결은 7이 같이 하는 거다. 싸움은 둘이 해도 해결은 7명이 같이 해라. 하기 너무 창피한 걸로 싸움을 해도 결국 같이 와서 저희가 이런 문제를 갖고 둘이 싸웠는데 이렇게 해서 이렇게 해결했습니다 라고 얘기를 하고, 그런 부분들이 이 팀의 친화력을 혹은 시너지를 강하게 만들고 있지 않나 이렇게 생각됩니다.
Over the years, the boys have come to love each other despite their difference in personalities, to the point where they'd feel incomplete with one member missing. They became each other's strength and support and formed a brotherhood.
뭔가 내 머릿속에는 옆에 멤버들이 있어야 뭔가 자연스러운, 그러니까 뭔가 내 핸드폰이나 지갑처럼 없으면 불안한 그런 것들 있잖아. 생각나?
그죠. 소중하다 못해 없으면 안 될 사람들이긴 하죠. 왜냐면은 넘어져도 저 혼자 일어나는 게 아니라 그냥 같이 일어난 거니까.
좀 생각을 해보면 이런 7명이 어떻게 모였을까라는 생각이 들어요, 이제는. 네. 오래 지냈다고 해서 될 문제는 아니에요. 어떻게 보면은 운명인 것 같아요. 네. 되게 유치하지만 그냥 운명이었던 거예요, 이거는. 네.
Their climb to the top may seem sudden to those who didn't follow their journey, but it was far from a walk in the park. BTS's company, Big Hit Entertainment, started off small and faced numerous hardships, even coming close to bankruptcy. Since Big Hit wasn't a large company at that time, they lacked the resources for promoting BTS. Even getting the chance to debut was a fluke. Their debut performance opportunity came about because a music show needed a filler for someone else's spot. Even after they debuted, their performances would often get cut, and if they did make it on air, their screen time was very short since Big Hit didn't have the power or influence bigger companies had over broadcasts. Since they were often not invited to a lot of big variety shows, the company found their own way to communicate with their audience through platforms such as YouTube. By vlogging their journey, they allowed us to discover their personalities. They also created their own variety shows and often live streamed with fans. They honed their crafts for hours on end, practicing in the dance studio and producing music, returning home at dawn to all sleep in one bedroom. 2 years of hard work and not knowing where they'd end up, they finally won their first music show award. Yet, as they grew in popularity, they were falsely accused of sajegi, which is when a company buys their own artist albums to boost sales for the charts. That's because people couldn't believe a group from a small company was selling well, ignoring the fact that a small company wouldn't have the resources to pull off such a scam. These were just a few of their hardships and struggles. I created a separate video highlighting their past hardships. I'll link that in my description box.
Ignoring any of your actual personal feelings towards BTS as a band if you don't like them, can you imagine how fucking soul crushing it would be? Like if you've spent, I think they said it was like a couple of years living in one room together and practicing constantly. Like, say you go on a variety show and you do your performance, and obviously, like, with the best will in the world, right, I'm not sitting here saying that I love BTS's music. I don't, right, so far. The dance routine, for a start, is phenomenal. Like, they're phenomenal dancers. Their choreography is absolutely exceptional. Their music is always, at the very least, really, really well produced. It might not be my particular cup of tea, but I would never sit there and say that's just a shit song. It's a very good song in the context of its genre and the other music around it from similar artists. You go and you put all that effort in just to get completely fucked over because your backer doesn't have the power and influence to kind of push it out. That must be fucking soul destroying. The perseverance required would be incredible. You know what? You know the thing that's actually kind of fascinating me? It's this notion of the training regime. Like, you pluck somebody out of fucking obscurity and you put them into some training academy for years, and then what, you hope that they make it big? Like, how do you know that they're gonna actually make it? If suddenly you're 13, you join one of these academies, you get to 18 just to get told, oh, by the way, you've wasted the last 5 years of your fucking life, your formative years, that was a waste of time because you just don't have it, mate. You don't have the charisma to make it big. That's crushing. That's a fucked up system.
Throughout the years, BTS were able to reach impressive milestones while continuing to sing in Korean. They shattered cultural language barriers with music and attracted an international audience. They grew organically by staying true to themselves while building a genuine connection with their fans from around the world. During an era where streaming numbers have gone up and traditional album sales have gone down, BTS has become an industry anomaly. Their latest album, Map of the Soul 7, released February 21, 2020, is the best-selling physical album of the year, and they sold over 500,000 copies in just the United States alone. The biggest kicker? Well, BTS did this without a single bundle. And what does bundle mean? Artists would bundle merchandise or concert tickets with the album's sales. For example, a copy of an artist's album, digital or physical, would be included in every t-shirt sale or ticket sold for their concert. These sales would count towards charting numbers and become an
Why so much shade getting thrown at Taylor Swift here? Also, I did not know that. I did not know that because any fucking gig I've been to, like, I went to a gig last night and I got a t-shirt and I got a record and I had to pay for them fucking separate. Anyway, okay, yeah, no, that is quite impressive. I didn't know that was a thing, like the bundle thing. But I suppose I don't really buy CDs so much anymore. I buy records, and records are so expensive that you're never going to put that as a bundle as your opening thing. And if you do, it's going to be significantly more expensive than, like, you wouldn't go buy a t-shirt, get a free record, because the record's more expensive than the t-shirt. This bundle ideas just went straight over my fucking head.
An industry-wide tactic in the US to help boost sales figures and in effect climb up the Billboard charts. In a 2019 New York Times article, they said about half the 39 titles that topped the charts last year were sold as part of ticket or merchandise bundles. Without the help of bundles and driven by the power of ARMYs alone, BTS were able to beat a lot of historic records, such as Michael Jackson's 36-year record and the Beatles' 22-year record. While these musical acts are famous around the world, Sugar has said it's a great honor to be called the Beatles of the 21st century. At the same time, it's a bit pressuring to be called that. Yeah. We are BTS. We want to be the BTS of the 21st century. The members themselves have always been involved in their music and engaged with their fans, even before they officially debuted. From their debut album, Too Cool for School, in 2013 to their most recent Map of the Soul 7, all 7 members have contributed as either writers and or producers on every album. All of BTS are associate members of the Korea Music Copyright Association, and as of August 2020, J-Hope, Suga, and RM were all promoted to full members of the association. They even create music that's released for free on SoundCloud as gifts to their fans. Much of their work touches on subjects like mental health, youth and female empowerment, child abuse, cyberbullying, self-love and development, and socio-economic injustices. Much of their work is also inspired by past writers and thinkers. Their latest series, Map of the Soul, incorporates psychological concepts by Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung. BTS is not
Right, see, because somebody told me that and was like, how did you know catch that reference? Like, I think it might have been the first BTS song I did. It might have been, I want to say Black Swan. Well, firstly, because I'm stupid. Secondly, I haven't read any Carl Jung. And thirdly, I wasn't fucking expecting Carl Jung references to be in a BTS track. It is a simple fact of life that people walk into stuff with preconceived notions, okay? I feel like it's an important part of this channel that I try my very best to ignore the preconceived notions and take each thing as I'm watching it for at face value. I wasn't always that good at it, freely admit that, but I do my best. The first BTS one, I went in, I was expecting simple pop song. I was also expecting to not like it. I had that hat on already. I wasn't going to like it. And then everybody was like, no, it's actually about Carl Jung saying this. And I was like, what in the fuck are you guys talking about? But no, it actually is. And it just completely passed me by because it turns out these guys are much, much smarter than I gave them credit for. I'll put my hands up. I was wrong on that count. It's just, once I've done all this stuff, I might react to Black Swan and give it a second look over without the whole attitude.
not afraid to use their platform to amplify underrepresented voices and issues, taking numerous risks with their career while receiving backlash from people in power. BTS are also as charitable as they are talented. Throughout the years, members have been donating individually and as a group. BTS rarely publicize donations, so fans often find out about them if media organizations uncover the details. One of BTS's few public announcements was in November 2017 for their Love Myself campaign. They partnered with UNICEF to create a campaign aimed at protecting children and teenagers from around the world, with the hope of making the world a better place through music. BTS and their company, Big Hit Entertainment, pledged 500 million Korean won and donated 3% of the income from the sales of physical albums of the Love Yourself series, along with 6 other fundraising initiatives, including the Love Myself merchandise, where 100% of its proceeds were pledged to the cause. The Love Yourself series, which contained 3 albums total, sold over 7 million copies worldwide. On September 24, 2018, BTS was invited to deliver a speech about the Love Myself campaign at the United Nations General Assembly.
I'm currently pausing this just as a kind of sidebar for myself, really. At some point, I want to check that out. I want to check out the UN speech and see what that's all about, because things like that, I think I'm going to find very interesting.
On January 15, 2020, Formula E announced their partnership with BTS to help combat climate change. On June 3, 2020, BTS tweeted their support for Black Lives Matter. A few days later, Variety reported that BTS and Big Hit Entertainment had donated $1 million to support the Black Lives Matter movement. When ARMYs got wind of the news, they matched their $1 million donation in one day. Now, these are just a couple of their acts of charity. With their socially conscious music, BTS created a new fandom culture that brings together fans from different national and racial identities. This led to the emergence of bilingual ARMY volunteers who translated BTS Korean lyrics and videos in their language almost real time, making the content immediately available to non-Korean speakers. We may all speak different languages, but their music and their message connected people from around the world, with different ethnicities, background, gender, and age. BTS has also expressed their love and respect for ARMY countless of times, such as always mentioning them first during speeches, responding to fans on their social media app Weverse, showing their appreciation for ARMY projects, halting rehearsals for the Muslim prayers in Saudi Arabia. The youngest member, Jungkook, even got the fandom name tattooed on his hand. Together with ARMY, they grew as individuals and as artists.
저는 굳이 영향력을 주는 거창한 것을 안 원하고 그냥 저희를 보는 분들이 행복하고 웃을 수 있다면 그걸로.
팬이란 게 진짜 뭘까 막 이런 생각을 가끔 많이 하거든요. 결국 그 사람들 때문에 저희가 무대에 서는 거라서 그 봐주는 사람들을 위해서 노래를 하고 무대를 하는 거기 때문에 결국 우리는 그 사람들한테 진짜 감사해야 되고 무대 하나하나에 최선을 다해야 되고.
간단하게 얘기해서는 가수를 하고 있는 어떤 제일 중요한 이유인 것 같아요. 저는 뭐 방송 활동도 물론 싫지 않지만 진짜 콘서트는 그냥 제가 이 방탄소년단을 하고 있는 이유가 맞는 것 같아요.
참 다행히도 내가 원래 하고 싶었던 메시지 하고 싶었던 음악들을 하고 있어서 참 다행이라고 생각을 해요. 그러기 때문에 되게 그렇게 살고 있는 것 같아요. 긍정적인 에너지를 주죠. 일단 이 일을 좋아하는 거, 이 일을 사랑하고 너무 좋아하는 게 저에게 큰 영향을 주는 것 같아요. 왜냐면 이 일을 하기 싫고 실증이 나고 하면은 무대 위에서도 나타나기 때문에 이 일을 굉장히 사랑하기 때문에 내가 무대 위에서 퍼포먼스를 할 수 있고 노래를 할 수 있는 것 같아요.
계속 와서 응원해주는 모습, 그리고 이렇게 저희를 진심으로 좋아해주는 그런 표정들, 힘들 때 그런 표정들이 저에게 더 힘을 주는 것 같아서.
저희를 알아봐 주신 여러분들이라면 여러분의 꿈이 아니더라도 여러분의 삶, 여러분의 인생에 언젠가 저희의 존재가, 저희의 음악이, 저희의 무대가, 저희의 사진, 영상이 여러분한테 아주 조금이라도 아픔이 100이라면 그 100을 99, 98, 97로 만들어줄 수 있다면 그걸로 저희의 존재의 가치는 충분합니다. 정말 사랑합니다.
Their love for ARMY has also helped them decide on re-signing another 7-year contract with Big Hit Entertainment. They mentioned doing it for their fans and not for money. So, while people often discredit BTS's talent, likening their popularity to superficial aspects that come with the image of a boy band, it is their development of personalities and sincerity towards their art and their fans that made their fandom the size and reach that it has become. I hope people will come to realize that BTS is more than just their singing and their dancing skills. They're not just performers, but artists who have healed and inspired millions of people around the world. For a deeper dive into BTS, please refer to these websites, apps, and ARMY accounts to stay updated. We're also working on more video projects and a website, so stay tuned.
Yeah, that kind of puts it into perspective a little bit. I do read the comments, like I read every fucking comment I get, and there's so many stories in there from people who said that they didn't give a fuck about BTS, and then at a low point in their life they discovered them, and their messages of hope pulled them out of the mire that they had found themselves in. If anything, I think that's the little kind of X factor thing that I'm looking for when I'm saying that I'm trying to discover what it is about BTS that makes them stand out from every other band, like to figure out why they've got such a devoted fan base. I genuinely, and I'm not saying this to be diminishing. I don't think it's the music. I think it's them. It's the sincerity and their mission to like spread happiness, which I can't think of any other bands. And I can think of like groups and artists that also do that, but with them it feels a wee bit like lip service, whereas with these guys it seems like the sole driving factor, and that's interesting. I quite like it. And also they just seem like really nice fucking people. Like they seem like really nice people. Okay, that was quite an interesting documentary. It kind of covers a lot of the same ground as the previous documentary without diving into the individual personalities, but it gives you more of an insight into them as a group and importantly their impact, which is quite nice. First documentary was good for saying this is who they are individually. This documentary is good for saying this is who they are as a team. I don't know what the next thing will be. We have a list, okay? We have a list that is made up that I'm not allowed to look at because I have an army fan curating my list. You can recommend stuff in the comments and we might go through and cherry pick stuff and to add into the list. I don't have a say in it. I am following a journey that is being mapped out for me. I am interested and curious to see where the fuck we go next. I would like to thank anybody who has watched this for watching this and say that I appreciate all of the support that you guys have been giving the channel recently, because that it's been kind of beautiful to see. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I have been markabusi and hopefully I will see you next time.